Hello, I'm Þorfinn Hrolfsson, occasional calligrapher, much part of heraldry, and here just talking about beginning blackletter calligraphy. This is an early part of calligraphy that formed from the middle of the 12th century and disappeared in various stages and was gone by the 14th. Right, now I have a share screen. Okay. If you want to come in and talk, please do. Any commentary at any time is acceptable. And despite having done this all last night, practicing, I'm still going back about it. This is some of my calligraphy, just to show you some of the work I have done. This was a mundane competition for which there is a first prize. Here's another piece of my calligraphy. Third piece, this is all the mundane stuff. This is an SCA scroll I did some years ago, showing my work. Now, Textura calligraphy hand particularly turns up mostly in liturgical books, because it's generally not found in major pieces of legal texts. This is Magna Carta. Showing a early cursive script. Here we have a scroll, a document was giving land in response to surfaces rendered, and from the late 15th century, this is a grant of arms. Now looking at the Textura calligraphy. This one shows all the elements that you're likely to find. The extreme vertical lines, come through, where the width of the pen, then a space that is only a pen width apart, then another stroke making up a U, a space that's a pen width, an O which is made up of 3 pen widths, the 2 lines in the space, a space of one pen width, and a space of another 1 pen width, and repeating across the screen. Particularly in this word here, where you can see an M, it looks like an I because there's a dash above the top to show it, a U, an I, and an S, munis, and then C-A-U. The other 2 points to note about this is there is obviously rulings used in the document, showing done along the bottom text. And the important part, the most important part is the space between bottom one line of text and the top of the next line of text is the same or even smaller than the height of the letters originally. Now we can see a few more examples. And all those features that keep repeating across. The extreme rapidity at 1 pen width by 1 pen width by 1 pen width by 1 pen width across all the letters, and here we again have the spacing between the letters being about the same as the spacing of the letters. And the letters appear to be about 4 pen widths high, and 3 pen widths high, and similarly 3 or 4 pen widths between them. Get a little later in period, and notably this is becoming half a Textura sine pedibus, Textura without feet. There's the eyes and the ends are ending in square ends across the bottom of the letters. This is a later style found quite often. And again, now this is a famous manuscript. This is the Grandaus of the Dr. Berry, dating from 1400. The pedibus on the scripts are disappearing. The spacings is again what you've seen over all the previous ones of character height and spacing being about approximately the same. That's a ligature for, and the feet on the letters are diminishing to a. Now this one is the Ormscott Psalter. That's British Library. Also again, all the things. This is what a full double page of that Psalter looks like. That's a gloss at the bottom. Through it all. Lochac Library. And now back onto the Ormscott Psalter with all the similar things of the letter heights. Here the letter height is less than letter spacing is less than the letter height. So getting the letters are getting very close together. You also starting to get here you have clashes between the top of the B there and the bottom of the P are overlapping. And similarly up here where you've got the D, top of the D and that G, you can see that they're sharing the same space. Next page is the same thing. Take it now. Let's grab a small section of one of those pages from the last bit, blow it up, and you can see very clearly the continuing vertical same space lines between the I, the L, the U, the N, the space in the N being the same as the width of the character. That's illuminant. That is M-I-N, because you can see the little tag on the top of the I to show you it's I-N. Now to highlight the spacings and geometries on the page, I'll draw in a couple of lines. Not now, I did it earlier. This is just putting a line through the lines ruled on the page where you can see clearly the spacings, and they didn't actually always keep neat track through. Now, do the same again and add in a line roughly through the top of the letters, and you can see we're running about four pen widths across there and about 2.5 to 3 there. M-U-N-D-U-S. You find a lot of calligraphic abbreviations. You need to know the book forms for that particular letter to sign it. And to completely highlight the screen, lining it up with evenly spaced vertical lines to show all the bits and pieces. Participants left. Right. Now I'll try and do this with a pen in front of you to show how it is, to show more on how it is done. I just have to now change user participants. Stop screen share. Right, that's better. Right. This is my mobile phone on the other side of the desk. Okay. There's the camera I've just been using when I'm talking to you and showing you. Now, a small library with Dragon. Now, I'm using a calligraphic marker pen here, rather than a dip nib, which is I'd be using for most of the work I would do to present to other people. This allows me to work until it runs out of ink, which will be quite a while. And also, because I have a white beard, a cheap magnifying headset found on eBay a couple of weeks ago. Now, to demonstrate, this is a plain page without any lines on it. So do the alphabet. In a document, you would likely find that the D and E are made into a ligature. That is, the downstroke of the D here would be combined with the downstroke of the E here. D, E. F, G, H, I, J. Quite often the I's and you'd only find I's and J's tend to be interchanged, where you're looking to emphasize the use of an I. You could emphasize it by writing a J instead. J, K. L is the same as you find in most pieces of calligraphy and writing. There are basic features such as the upright of the L, which is there, 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 and in further letters. M, and O. I'll probably left too much space there. P and Q tend to be mirrors of each other's. R is very often done as a ligature, so you would see that, LR. S, it's much easier to do a long S than a short one. T, U, oh, shouldn't have done that. X, Y as a G without a top on it, and Z. You don't need a letter V because they use a U, because U's and V's don't become separate definitive letters until the early 17th century. So before then, U's and V's are quite often interchangeable. That looks, there we are. That looks quite appalling. All right. That was me practicing last night, practicing this class again. So just do that middle line again. This time with lines there. Oof. That's appalling. At least this time with using the construction lines. Maybe going a little too quick, but it shows that the lines are formed. It's lining up with the page and keeping a consistent height. It's still not keeping a consistent spacing. Right. Does anyone like to ask questions or anything? Now, to aid getting all the horizontals all equal, let's try this again with some vertical lines on the page as well. This is a 5mm pen. Each of these horizontal lines are drawn at 15mm spaces, so that is 3 pen widths. What's it coming up? That's great. These vertical ones are drawn at 2 pen widths. Now, going a little bit slower, from the letter L onwards, there's the space. So the M starts at the next vertical line, up, down, and follow the vertical line. Leave 2 lines, two pen width spacing to start before you start in the next. If you're leaving a word or one. Cool. And so that should now come out. And the next bit is lots and lots of practice. All right. Anyone want to say something?
So you have a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay, okay, I'll pick the chat up.
Would you like me to read them to you?
Okay. Okay, right. Hey. Right, someone asking about ligatures. How I was doing the feet. Okay. Right. Thank you. Also, right. Down. It was doing the foot. Come down again, and practically. So for a double L, the feet are interlocking, so you're looking like you've got a very large U sitting there. I need to change glasses each time. Right.
Thorfinn, we can't see what you're doing.
All right. Ah, right. I flipped my thing. All right, there. Yes, I'm using two cameras. I'll do that one again. So now put the foot on it. And just down and up, keeping everything as square as possible. Don't even see the chats. You know, can get to see the chat, right? I'll put in some flourishes. Flourishes are usually just done with the corner of the pen. See that's little, I just put the corner of the pen on the paper and drop the little half circle above the O there. Other ligatures, right? Okay. So there's a DE ligature. Above the line, I've got a Q and R ligature. Occasionally see ligatures attached to O. So of almost any letter. On this page, I got where I use that text. There's no G. Half R's are almost, E being ligature to the letter before, as long as that is a full down line, is practically obligatory. And half R's, such as this one here. E ligatures to D on almost every time, or if it's O or any letter where you've got that full text, full hard text, textured line there, vertical, you end up with E's and R's almost entirely ligaturing in. So, O ligaturing to other letters is not unusual either, as I can see in this document some HOs in HOM. So, H. O. So that is an H ligature to an O. This also adds to the Filios. So there's a, use a sharp, smaller. Use a small S. And drawn it that way. Filios, the word in Latin for sun in the accusative case. Okay, got the flip, flop, and flop. So, pick up. Little flourish was done by putting the corner of the pen and going flick. We have mend with a squiggle at the end, which is a contraction saying three or four letters have been left out. If you, as long as you know your standard Latin, you can fill them in. But most of the problem there is each scribe will have their own particular list. So for paleographers, you'll find books written about contractions in Latin manuscripts. Okay. Probably not. Okay. Good. Oh. Okay, so that's me going through some of the pieces you find in Quadrata text, and a good practice way for starting up with getting all the line spacing and character spacing and letter strokes lining up, so to try and match what you got to get in a period manuscript. Stop screen share. So, do we have any more commentaries? So that's everyone done? Have enough time? Has anyone brought their equipment to the meeting and would like to try something?
Thorfinn, someone asked where you find a primer.
Primers. Do they have a copy of, can they get a copy of chat? Primers. Medieval Calligraphy by Drogan. There we are. That's one of the best textbooks out there about this sort of stuff, and from where I learned how to do it, and a lot of the texts. there is his how-to page on doing this and discussing all the bits and pieces that I've just been demonstrating for you. And there are some of the examples you've got, particularly showing the intense spaces on the depth. To getting Quadrata looking right, getting the white space correct is almost as important as getting the white space correct. So that's the spaces in your, as I said at the beginning, getting your line space, your word spacings, letters of text. Chat. The other more important point to do is look on sites like BNF, which is the French National Library, or the British Library, and take a good look at lots of scripts and see how the medieval scribes are doing it all. And then trying to just copy a line or two of any particular page and see if you can get them looking the same. Which hopefully is what I managed to demonstrate for you there. Right. Well, at 7 minutes to go, probably say thanks for a lot of the work and being an audience for me. Thank you.